serving the gods of wood and stone, and we have corrupted our ways, most holy one, by disobeying your commands. We were lost, but now we are coming back to you from the east, north, south, and west, the 12 tribes of Israel, to keep your laws and commandments. We are coming back to you from the east, north, south, and to be the prince and priest that you desire us to be. Mount Zion is where we belong, but Israel, we have forsaken the Most High, so He has placed us at the bottom and scattered us throughout every nation to be servants. Oh, but now we are going back to Him from the east, north, south, and west, the 12 tribes of Israel, to keep your laws and commandments. We are coming back to you from the east, north, south, and to be the prince and priest that you desire us to be. Jeremiah chapter 3 verses 14. Turn, O backsliding children, said the Most High, for I am married unto you, and I will take one of a city and the two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. Oh, back to you. But now we are coming back to you from the east, north, south, and west, the 12 tribes of Israel, to keep your laws and commandments. We are coming back to you from the east, north, south, and to be the prince and priest that you desire us to be. Oh, but now we are.
Shalom, shalom. What's going on, my people? What's going on? Hold on. All right. Let's see. Can you hear me? I don't even know if y'all can hear me. I'm gonna have to see something. Let's see. Can y'all hear me? Oh, there we go. All right. So now, all right. So what I'm about to do, going to the Damascus Document. All right. So this is the Judean Christian writing course. Okay, Judean Christian New Testament writing course is 3-month course that I'm doing, so the people can understand how important, these Judean New Testament Christian writing courses is. Like for example, we got new Judean Christian writings like the Didache, like the Damascus Document, which we're about to go into, like the Communion Rule, which we just went into for the past 2 weeks. And then also, you got a lot of other New Testament writings that's within the Dead Sea Scrolls that we're going to check out, throughout this 3-month course. And then also is what else we have going on here? we have the recognitions of Clement and homilies of Clement we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a couple of Judean Christian New Testament writings to give people understanding about these writings, so people can go into these writings themselves, and actually read these writings and understand the early church doctrine. All right. So going into the Damascus Document. All right. Now this is going to be a two-week one. So this is the first week. This is the 3rd week of the course, but this is the first week that we're starting the Damascus Document. All right. And then next Wednesday night, I'm going to do the Damascus document again, and then going to wrap that up. So we're going to move on to some more exciting information. So let me just get right into this right here. Let me just get right into this. All right, so the Damascus document. All right, now this can date based off internal dating. So based off the language, that's being said in here, the Christian language that's being used in this ancient Hebrew record, and based off certain things about the teacher of righteousness. It's like he came. The Damascus document has the teacher of righteousness. He already came. So when we get to the Damascus document, he came already. Teacher of righteousness already came. So they're reminiscing on about the teacher of righteousness, and they're reminiscing on about how the community got started. They're giving us a little background history within the Damascus document, and they're giving us a little background history about what the community need to be doing while they're waiting on, the coming of the Messiah, because they understood that the teacher of righteousness is the Messiah, and he's that one true prophet that was prophesied by Moses, but he's actually the Davidic Messiah also, and he's actually, they believe that this Messiah is coming back to raise war against the Romans. This is what they believe within the war scrolls, which we're going to talk about, later, like on a after we're done with the Damascus document. So within these records, they believe that the return of the Messiah was going to return and raise war against the Romans, all right? And that they need to be pure as possible upon the return, because the Messiah, he's coming not just by himself, he coming with his holy angels, and he coming with holy angels and all of that. And this is what's written within the Dead Sea Scrolls, within the War Scroll. So this sect at the Qumran Caves, they believe that the teacher of righteousness was going to come back and actually eventually, they was gonna go to war. So with the Romans, they have a whole war scroll that's a formation military scroll. All right. So now we're gonna go into the Damascus document. All right. Now I'm gonna go into some things in here. I'm trying not to keep y'all so long tonight. I'm gonna try not to keep myself long, because I'm trying to adjust to this new time right here that I just switched on. So but we're going into the Damascus document, all right? And this document is very, very important. It's very important. So within this document, I'm gonna point out some key things within this document. All right. So now let's check this out. So within this document, this what they believe. I'm gonna start reading it. Now, listen now, all you who know righteousness and consider the works of God. For he has a dispute with all flesh and will condemn all those who despise him. For when they were unfaithful and forsook him, he hid his face from Israel in his sanctuary and delivered them up to the sword. But remembering the covenant of their forefathers, he left a remnant to Israel and did not deliver it up to be destroyed. And in the wrath of 390 years after he had given them into the hand of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, he visited them and caused a plant root to spring from Israel and Aaron to inherit his land and to prosper on the good things of his earth. And they perceived their iniquity and recognized that they were guilty men, yet for 20 years they were like blind men groping for the way. So like I talked about this before on the teacher of righteousness teachers that I'm doing, but we talked about how after 390 years, the Most High, he caused the root to spring from Israel and Aaron. All right. And this is what you see. This is the community. He caused the community to actually start to be, he chosen men. He chose men to eventually to rise up this community. All right. Now, this is before the community rules. This is before the community rules that the Most High rose up. He rose up this group of Israelites around the 2nd century BCE. All right. And these group of Israelites was actually the Essenes. He rose them up. All right. He rose the Essenes up. And the Essenes, they were, established around the late 2nd century BCE. All right, that's when they came on the scene. And this so happened that in the scrolls, they telling you that's when they came on the scene. They came on the scene, this group, formulated in the 2nd century BCE, which is interesting. So it lets you know that happened. And also, why that happened, for some reason around that time, like for some reason, they was operating, and then while they was operating, something happened, later on. They had a 20 years that they were like blind men groping for the way. So they had like 20 years where they really didn't have no leadership, and then I believe that was taking place, right before the community rules, right before the John the Baptist time. So the 20 years before John the Baptist time, did John the Baptist come on the scene and start preparing the way. Did a group of them start preparing the way. This is around John the Baptist time. And John the Baptist, was a part of this group. And this group also, eventually John the Baptist was what do you call it? The Most High engendered him as the Levitical Messiah. All right. So, but before that, it was 20 years of no leadership. All right. Now, before that 20 years, they had some type of leadership. Things was all right, but then something happened to where for 20 years, they was like blind men groping the way. All right. And I'm going to keep reading. And God observed their deeds, that they sought him with a whole heart, and he raised for them a teacher of righteousness to guide them in the heart guide them in the way of his heart. And he made known to the later generations that which God have done to the later generations, the congregation of traitors, to those who departed from the way. This was the time on which it was written, like a stubborn heifer. Thus was Israel stubborn. When the scoffer arose, who shed over Israel the waters of lies, he caused them to wander in the pathless wilderness, laying low the everlasting heights, abolishing the ways of righteousness, and removing the boundary with which the forefathers had marked out their inheritance, that he might call down on them the curses of his covenant and deliver them up to the avenging sword of the covenant. For they sought smooth things and preferred illusions, and they watched for breaks and chose the fair neck, and they justified the wicked and condemned the just, and they transgressed the covenant and violated the precept. They band together against the life of righteousness and lost all who walk in perfection. They pursued them with the sword and exalted in the strife of people, and anger of God was kindled against their congregation, so that he raised all their multitude, and their deeds were defilement before him. All right. So before the teacher of righteousness, before the community, just a background information, the community was established around the 2nd century BCE. All right. Then something happened where this community for 20 years, they didn't have no leadership. Then you got the community rules, John the Baptist, and come on the scene. All right. They're preparing the way for the teacher of righteousness, for the Messiah. So then the Messiah comes. All right. The Messiah comes, and, things happen to him. He gets betrayed, and, he ended up dying and things like that, end up being murdered and things like that. And then, then you have the Damascus document being written. The Damascus document is being written, let's say, we can say it can be around the 40s, the early mid 40s to the early 50s. This document is being produced, it's being written. I'm talking about 40 AD or CE, all the way to the early 50 CE. You know, this document is being written. All right, so now I'm gonna keep going. So now this is interesting to me. What we're gonna read. Now I want to point out some things like the Holy Spirit. You know, I want to point out because the Holy Spirit is being used within the Damascus document at least about maybe four times or more. In the community rules, it was used within the community rules like maybe two or three times, you know, or maybe a little more. So you can tell that these documents is definitely, you know, is definitely has its Christian vibe to it. It has a Christian vibe to it, but it's not coming from a Greco-Roman understanding. It's coming from pretty much the Hebrew understanding of it and a Hebrew view on it. That's why it is worded differently than our Greco-Roman manuscripts that we have. All right, so now I'm gonna read this and it say, "Hear now, my sons, I will uncover your eyes that ye may see and understand the works of God, that ye may choose which pleases him and reject that which he hates, that you may walk perfectly in his ways and not follow after the thoughts of the guilty inclination and after eyes of lust. For through them great men have gone astray, and mighty heroes have stumbled from former times to now, because they walk in the stubbornness of their heart. The heavenly watchers, hold on. The heavenly watchers fell. They were caught because they did not keep the commandments of God, and their sons all also fell, who were tall as cedar trees, and those bodies were like mountains. Hold on, I'm gonna get back to that, but I wanted to read something real quick right here. Let me read this right quick. I want to read this. So I want to catch this right here. I'm gonna read this right. He say, and all of them, and all of them, he raised for himself men called by name, that a remnant might be left to the land, and that the face of the earth might be filled with their seed. And he had made known by his Holy Spirit to lead by the hand of his anointed ones and proclaim the truth to them. But those whom he hated, he led astray. So I wanted to read that to show that the Holy Spirit is being used within this record. It's being used within this record. And the word Messiah just mean anointed ones. A lot of people was anointed one. Abraham was anointed one. Jacob was anointed one. Isaac was an anointed one. Is many anointed ones. All right. But I want to keep going back to what we're reading right here, talking about the heavenly watchers. It say, in the stubbornness of their heart, the heavenly watchers fell. They were caught because they did not keep the commandments of God. And their sons also fell, who were tall as cedar trees and whose body were like mountains. All right. So this is an interesting thing right here, because you see the same thing you see the same thing in here. I'm gonna go to, this is the recognitions of Clement. All right, recognitions of Clement, and I'm gonna read this. Let's see. Recognitions of Clement. I'm in recognitions of Clement, and I'm gonna start at book 1. Book 1, and I'm gonna read chapter 29. All right, so we in book 1, chapter 29, and let's see. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'm sorry for the I had to open the door for all right, but so now, all right, so we're gonna go to we're in the recognitions of Clement. Now I'm gonna have to cut that out in the when I upload this. When it's uploaded, I'm gonna try to cut that part out. I'm sorry for having y'all waiting, but so now back to the Damascus document, and I'm in the recognitions of Clement also. And it reads, in the stubbornness of their heart, the holy watchers fell. They were caught because they did not keep the commandments of God. And their sons also fell, who were tall as cedar trees, whose bodies were like mountains. All right, so we see that verbiage, their bodies were like mountains. Let's go to Recognitions of Clement, this book 1, chapter 29, and it reads, therefore, after everything was completed in the heavens, in the earth, in the seas, humans being multiplied, and it was the 8th generation, just men were living in angel-like likeness, talking about the angels. Because of their beauty of women, they rejected their first habitation and without discrimination had intercourse, and they learned to do everything without discernment. And those who successfully came into existence also accepted to do greater wickedness. They even coaxed all people, some through fear and some through insurance, so that they might sin against the maker of all. From those in the 9th generation were begotten giants, renowned of old, and they did not have the feet, and they did not have the feet of dragons, as the fables of the Greeks say, but they were gigantic and similar to great mountains, and the size of their bodies. So they were that same verbiage that you see within the Damascus documents, how the sons who were tall as cedar trees, whose bodies were like mountains. You see that same verbiage within the recognitions of Clement, letting you know the recognitions of Clement used the Damascus document or had information that was stemming from the Damascus document to use to compile the first book of the recognitions of Clement. So it tell you, but they were giants and similar to great mountains in size of their bodies. So we only get that wording like they were size of great mountains. We only get that in Damascus document and within recognitions of Clement. And I'm talking about the verbiage that's being used. The verbiage saying that these children of the fallen angels were the size of great mountains. You only get that verbiage like that, saying that they was mountains within the Damascus document, within the recognitions of Clement, showing you that these Judean Christian records complement each other. They complement each other. All right. So now, and it's being used. Okay. It's being the Damascus document or teachings, that come from the Damascus document was being used to compile the recognitions of Clement. All right. So now, let's keep going. So point out some things. We're gonna get down here. We're gonna go to page. We're on page 131. So this is the Damascus document. I'm gonna read this. But with the remnant which held fast to the commandments of God, he made his covenant with Israel forever, revealing to them the hidden things in which all Israel have gone astray. He unfolded before them his holy Sabbaths and his glorious feasts, the testimony of his righteousness and the ways of his truth and the desires of his will, which a man must do in order to live. And they dug a well rich in water, and who despised it shall not live. Yet they allowed in sin of a man in the ways of uncleanness, and they said, this is our way. But God in his wonderful mysteries forgave them their sin and parted their wickedness. And he built them a sure house in Israel, whose like never existed from former times to now. Those who hold fast to it are destined to live forever, and all the glory of Adam shall be theirs, as God ordained them by the hand of the prophet Ezekiel, saying, priests, the Levites, and the sons of Zadok, who kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel strayed from me, they shall offer me fat and blood. All right. And the priests are the converts. So this is their breakdown of Ezekiel chapter 44. This is their breakdown because they believe that they are the group that was prophesied by Ezekiel, to actually be used by the Most High and by the Messiah to help start this community. All right. So now this is their breakdown of it. The priests are the converts of Israel. So the priests are the converts of Israel who departed from the land of Judah. So it's just not Levites only. It's converts of Israel, all right, who departed from the land of Judah. All right. So you got these so the priests are the convert. That's why everybody in the scrolls are called the community in the scrolls. The name for them are the sons of Zadok, which is just mean righteous, the sons of righteousness. That's another name of them. All right. So the priests are converts of Israel who departed from the land of Judah, and the Levites are those who joined them. All right. So the Levites are those who joined them. All right. The sons of Zadok are the elect of Israel. All right. The men called by name shall stand at the end of days. So the sons of Zadok, the ones that was elected, the sons of Zadok, they are the elect of Israel. So you get the people who change their ways out of Israel. Those will be considered the priests. Then you get the Levites are those who joined those people who converted themselves. And then you got the sons of Zadok, was pretty much like the leadership within the community when it first got started. They are considered the elect of Israel, right? They are the men called by name who shall stand at the end of days. Behold, the exact list of their names according to their generations, and the time when they lived, and the number of their trials, and the years of their sojourn, and the exact list of their deeds. All right. They were the first men of holiness who God forgave. So these men who actually set the community up, they were actually ones chosen by men. So these are those priests that separated themselves, that group of Israel that separated themselves. They were called the first men. All right. They are called the first men. All right. Now I'm gonna read something. Let me go to Jeremiah real quick. Go to Jeremiah. So we can get some understanding about those first men. All right. So they started this. This is the church, though, y'all. This is the church. This is the church. So now I'm gonna go to Jeremiah 31 and 31. So I'm gonna start at Jeremiah chapter 31. I'm gonna start at verse 31. 1 second. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant of their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, said the Lord. But this shall be the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me. So this community, they know the Lord, but they're being taught. So when they say teach no man, it's talking about that no man would not be able to know the word of the Most High, or the laws of the Most High. So every man will be saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, for the least of them unto the greatest of them, said the Lord, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. So that's what we see right here with the first men of the community. They were the first men of holiness whom God forgave. So God forgave these men that he selected to help to separate themselves from Israel, to help start building this community, and then eventually prepare the way for the teacher of righteousness. All right. So now, let's see. And justified the righteousness and condemned the wicked until the age is completed, according to the number of those years. All who enter after them shall do according to that interpretation of the law in which the first men were instructed. So the first men, they the ones who was setting the foundation. They were setting the foundation. They were setting the foundation for John the Baptist to come to prepare the way for the Messiah. They were setting the foundation for for that. They were setting the foundation. So when the teacher of righteousness come, he know the teacher of righteousness know exactly where to come to. All right. So now let's see. So they shall do according to that interpretation of the law, in which the first men were instructed, according to the covenant which God made with the forefathers, forgiving their sins. So he shall forgive their sins also. But when the age is completed according to the number of those years, there shall be no more joining the house of Judah, but each man shall stand over his watch. This wall is built, the boundaries far removed. All right. So now, I'm gonna bring out maybe one more thing. I'll bring out like one or two more things, and I'm gonna kind of wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up so that way come back next week and maybe actually do maybe another part, or maybe two more parts, maybe three parts, maybe do three parts. All right, of this Damascus document, because I want y'all to understand this information. All right, so now with the first men, so now we're gonna move on. We're gonna move down. We're gonna check this out. We're gonna slide down. So in this community, a lot of people want to say, the church, don't the church do polygamy, no, but in this community, they don't practice polygamy at all. They don't practice polygamy, and I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show it within here. I'm gonna show it. So first, let's read this information right here. So, and it say, during all the years, Baal shall be unleashed against Israel, as he spoke by the hand of Isaiah, son of Amos, saying, terror and the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitants of the land. Interpreted, these are the three nets of Baal, with which Levi, son of Jacob, said that he catches Israel by setting them up as three kinds of righteousness. The first is fornication. All right. The second is riches. And the third is profanation of the temple. Whosoever escapes the first is caught in the second, and whosoever saves himself from the second is caught in the third. The builders of the wall, who have followed after precept was a spouter, of whom it is written, they shall surely sprout, shall be caught in fornication twice, by taking a second wife while the first is alive. Whereas the principle of creation is male and female created he them. Also, those who entered the ark went in 2 by 2, and according to the prince, it is written, he shall not multiply wives to himself. But David had not read the sealed book of the law, which was in the ark of the covenant, for it was not open in Israel from the death of Eleazar and Joshua and the elders who worship Azarah. It was hidden and was not revealed until the coming of Sadak, and the deeds of David rose up, except for the murder of Uriah, and God left them to him. All right, so in this community, they don't believe that multiple wives, polygamy, was something that was done in the beginning. They believe that you to take a second wife after your first wife dies, like that's what they believe. So because they believe that in the beginning, Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, that male and female created he them. And also those who entered the ark were in 2 by 2. So they don't deal with polygamy. All right, now I'm gonna show the correlation with the Ebionites. Go to the Ebionites records. I'm gonna go to the homilies of recognitions of Clement. All right, and I'm gonna read something, and then I'm gonna get back to what we just read about how David did not read that in Deuteronomy 17, verse 17, David did not read what we see today. He did not read that a king shouldn't multiply wives. He did not read, that wasn't there. That wasn't there during his time. All right, but so going to the recognitions of Clement, I have to go to book 9. Let's see. I'm gonna go to book 9. Book 9, verse 20. I'm gonna go to book 9, chapter 29. Book 9, chapter 29. And this is how the Ebionites feel about polygamy. All right. This is how the Ebionites feel about polygamy. But I shall give a stronger proof of the matter. For behold, scarcely 7 years have yet passed since the event of the righteous and true prophet, the true, how they call the Messiah, the true prophet. Just like we see in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they call, the Messiah, he's that true prophet. He's the teacher of righteousness. He's the prophet that's likened to Moses. He's that true prophet. And in the course of these men of all nations coming to Judea and moved both by signs and miracles, which they saw, and by grounder of his doctrine and received his faith. And then going back to their own countries, they reject the lawless rights of the Gentiles and their incestuous marriages. And short, among the Parthians, as Thomas, who was preaching the gospel among them, has written to us. So as written, when I go into the recognitions of Clement, when we go into that lesson about the recognitions of Clement, we're going to see that recognitions of Clement is full of letters that was being passed around through the church. So you got letters to James going out. You got people writing letters to James. It's like we see right now, the disciple Thomas, he had written things to the church when he was going abroad spreading the gospel. And certain things that he written back to the church in Jerusalem, he has written to us saying, not many now are addicted to polygamy. He's talking about the Gentiles, not many. So polygamy always been a Gentile thing. People try to say that monogamy is something that came from the Romans, and not really. You got an ancient Judean group, practicing polygamy. All right. At the core, polygamy, you have a Judean group, what I'm saying, an ancient Judean group not practicing polygamy, and they're not practicing it at its core. Like it's part of their doctrine that you don't take a second wife until your first wife is dead. So, and it say, but he's preaching the gospel to them, and he has written to us that not many now are addicted to polygamy, nor among the Medes do they throw their dead to the dogs, nor are the Persians pleased with intercourse with their mothers or incestuous marriage with their daughters. Okay, so nor do the Susian women practice the adulteries that were allowed them, nor has like Genesis, they say Genesis, right? It's talking about the horoscope and all that. Time I said, nor has horoscope been able to force those into crimes whom the teaching of religion restrain. All right. So according to the reckonings of Clement, the Ebionites themselves, they're preaching against polygamy. All right. They're preaching against that within their own records. All right. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen back in just 1 second. All right, so let me bring it back. One second. All right, so now I'm in the homilies of Clement, and I'm gonna go to homilies 2. Homilies 2. We can go to homilies in the recognitions in the homilies. Once we actually, I'm gonna do a full lesson about it in parts, so people can understand it. Through this Judean Christian writing New Testament course, right? So we're going into the homilies of Clement, and this is book 2. All right, chapter 52, book 2, chapter 52. And I'm going to read what the information says. 1 second. All right. All right, so now this is what this says right here. This is Homilies of Clement, book 2. Book 2, chapter 52. And it reads, Then Peter, assuredly with good reason, I neither believe anything against God, nor against the just men recorded in the law, taking for granted that they are impious imagination. For as I am persuaded, neither was Adam a transgressor, who was fashioned by the hands of God, nor was Noah drunken, who was found righteous above all the world, nor did Abraham live with 3 wives at once, who on account of his sobriety was thought worthy of a numberless posterity. Nor did Jacob associate with 4, of whom 2 were sisters, who were the father of the 12 tribes, and who intimated the coming of the presence of our master. So they even say the presence of our master. They call it, they calling Jesus the master, just like we see in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The master. This is the rules for the master when he come. All right. Nor was Moses a murderer, nor did he learn to judge from adulterous priests. He who set forth the law of God to all the world, and for his righteous judgment has been testified to a faithful steward. So even in the homilies of Clement, they say Abraham did not live with 3 wives at once. He did not live with 3 wives at once. Then they say that Jacob did not have 4 wives, whom 2 were sisters. They said this did not happen. So the pen of the scribes are in vain. So they saying that did not happen. According to the Ebionites, according to the early church, the Ebionites, the Essenes, they don't deal with polygamy. And they say that stuff never happened in our records for real. That stuff was fabricated. All right. That's what they believe. All right. So now, and I found that interesting. So, going back to David, and this will be the last thing I'm talking about, and we're going to wrap it up. So going back to David, it say, but David did not read the sealed book of the law, all right, which was in the Ark of the Covenant, for it was not open in Israel from the death of Eleazar and Joshua. So what was David reading then? It probably wasn't even no law about that, about how many wives a king should have. So he more than likely probably wasn't no law. And if it was a law, it's probably the same. He probably can marry like 17 wives or something. You know what I'm saying? It probably wasn't even no law concerning that during his time. So then now this is when the Bible went through another redaction when they found the lost book of the sealed law, when they found that, so but this group, the church, they feel like they have the sealed lost book of the law. They feel like they the ones who have it. All right. And the reason why I say they feel like they have things within the Dead Sea Scrolls that let you know that they have that book. They have that book. All right. So now let me read something. We on 132. So let me read. Let's see if I can. So that they had the sealed book of the law. Now, when was this book lost and found? Let's see, hold on, when was this book lost and found? I'm gonna go to let me go to 2 Corinthians real quick. So when was this book? That's 2 Corinthians, 2 Chronicles, and this is the last thing I'm gonna talk about before we go ahead and just wrap it up for the day. So now I'm gonna go to 2 Chronicles. All right, and we're gonna read this real quick. We're gonna read this lost book of the law. We're gonna read about it real quick. So this is 2 Chronicles Second Chronicles chapter 34. And let me just read verse, let's see. Make this bigger real quick. All right, so now let me read this. So this is Second Chronicles chapter 34, and I'm gonna read I'm starting at verse 14. And when they brought out the money, that was brought into the house of the Lord, Hilkiah the priest found a book of the law of the Lord given by Moses. So they found this sealed book. And this during the Zedekiah time. All right. And Hilkiah, which is actually Jeremiah's father, answered and said to Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And Hilkiah delivered the book to Shaphan. And Shaphan carried the book to the king and brought the king word back again, saying, all that was committed to thy servants, they do it. So now, when they found this book, they're like, whoa, whoa, this is, in verse 19, it came to pass when the king heard the words of the law that he rent his clothes. So they was amazed by what they found. They like, wow, to the point that the king rent his clothes. He felt like they wasn't keeping the law, because they just found the sealed book of the law, So this is what was found during Josiah time. This maybe around I want to say the 7th century BCE. All right, the 7th century BCE, the 7th or 8th century BCE, that I think it was the 7th century BCE that this is found during Josiah time, and that this is when Deuteronomy 17 verse 17 actually came into effect. Okay, that a king should not marry multiple wives. All right, because it was written within actually the sealed book of the law that we read right here, that we're reading within what we see right here within the Damascus document. All right, so this group believed that they had the sealed book of the law. This group doesn't do polygamy. This group, the teacher of righteousness came to this group. Okay, so now I'm gonna just kind of wrap it up right here with that. But the Damascus document is very, very important. The Damascus document itself, another name for it is the Zedekiah fragment. The Zedekiah fragments was found pretty much in the 10th or 11th century AD. And then when they found it, like, oh, this is interesting, this is an interesting record. They didn't really know what they had. But then when the Dead Sea Scrolls was found and the Damascus document was found within the Dead Sea Scrolls, they like, what? This is an older version of the Zedekiah fragment. All right. So now, because what we're reading right here is in the Zedekiah fragment. All right. So you can get the same information that we read in the Damascus document in the Zedekiah fragment, but some things are worded differently. And I recommend you to use the Damascus document because it's older and it actually preserves more of the church, doctrine than the Zedekiah fragment do, because some things may have been worded a little differently because we're talking about centuries later, So but yeah, so this is the information now. Next week we're going to pick back up. Remember that I left off at page 132. We're going to pick back up on 133, and I'm going to skim through the rest of it, and then we're going to end maybe try to do it in the next week of now. If we don't end it next week, we'll end it the week after. So hurry up and end it, and then pretty much just move on, and then move on to another early Judean New Testament writing. Okay. So very interesting information right here. So I just want to show and share this information. We're going to come back next week. So I hope this information was a blessing, and we'll come back next Wednesday night Wednesday night for y'all. It's actually Thursday morning where I'm at. I had to adjust to the new time, but may the Most High bless y'all and keep learning. Get the Damascus document. Get the The Complete Dead Sea Scrolls, the Penguin Edition by Giza Vermes. Study these records. It's important. Study the early church, the truth about the early church. And see y'all next time. Shalom.